Get Into Geek. Welcome to episode 83, talking absolute power. Stargate SG-1. We are the Get Into Geek team. My name is Mitch. Joining me, Matty Gibson.
This episode of Stargate brought to you by Absolute Vodka.
Ooh, that would have been a fantastic... Hang on. Whoa. Let's shut the mics. We'll come back in 2 hours. We'll see how things are going. Or Brendan might already be there. How you going, buddy?
Hi. This episode of Stargate brought to you by Absolute Catherine. Powers.
Get out.
That was great. It's off the cuff, mate. What do you want? Go on, then. Your turn.
You've got a script from now on.
Yeah. I was going to say, if it was prepared, it's even worse. So I'm glad that it was only off the cuff. Means you can,
I think they call it premeditated.
I think I'd rather be in his boat, though, having prepared it than me. It took me like 8 seconds to go, what do you mean? Oh, right. Catherine Power.
It's funny when you explain your own joke.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm being a bit slow
We can cut all this, yeah.
Oh, it's always generous
gold,
when you call it a joke.
Hello.
Yeah, g'day, guys.
Yeah, g'day, Rhys. Well, here we are, talk some Stargate SG-1. If you are new to the show, Brendan, Matty, myself, Mitch, we're old school fans of Stargate. Rhys, he's watching all this for the first time, and we're right in the middle of, sort of peak SG-1, we've been telling him, Season 4. Does it continue here? Let's get to the synopsis of the show, and then we'll ask Rhys what he thought about this episode. When a chosen boy found on planet Abydos is brought back to the SGC, he sends a telepathic message causing Daniel Jackson's personality to undergo disturbing changes. Will the rest of SG-1 be able to solve the mystery of the boy's origin before Jackson becomes a power-hungry warmonger? Jackson goes dark side. Rhys, what'd you think?
Oh, it was out there, wasn't it? And my God, Michael Shanks plays a good douchebag, doesn't he?
Doesn't he?
Like,
Plays.
Oh, hey, you're ruining my image of him. All right. No, look, he's
I'm preparing you for reality.
Yeah, but no, I hated him in this episode, but he did it so well.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, just full out goa'uld. But yeah, obviously pick the dream sequence halfway through.
Yeah, I was wondering when you'd click onto it.
A year later,
Yeah.
I think that triggered it.
Yeah,
for me.
that was it. Yeah. I'm like, why are they skipping out a year? I'm like, they've never done it that far ahead. I'm like, they've done 3 months when they're in 100 days.
What did you say, Matty, about Martin Wood said, Robert C. Cooper really knows how to suck an audience in neck minute 1 year later. Well, obviously it's a dream.
Yeah. As if they're going to give Jackson a house with bloody 40
mansion.
security guards
Yeah.
to himself.
This is the new show. This is the
thought,
way we're doing it.
No more Russia.
Depending on how much you sort of pay attention, it's like when Shifu does sort of put Daniel into the dream sequence, he kind of gives it away there because Shifu says dreams teach. But for me, I thought it was quite clever. There was a big enough gap. Like they continued the conversation and talked about other things before then Shifu sort of did the ET hand touch thing. Because I was worried because Rhys is always pretty on the ball. I was worried if he would pick it up there because it kind of then ruins the whole thing for you.
Yeah, well that's what originally made me come to the conclusion. It's a dream sequence because they were talking about the dreaming and blah blah blah. But it was, like you said, when it said 1 year later, I'm like, that's a bit dodgy. But then I'm like, maybe they've got another answer for it. But as soon as they he ringed them down and then went into that control room, I'm like, this is a dream.
Yeah.
This is not real.
Can't come back from this.
Yeah, I was trying to remember, again, because it's been so long since I watched this episode. I'm like, how do they wrap this up? Because last week being 2010, like they reversed, they changed the timeline. They went back in time to change their future. So surely they're not going to do that 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But if this does turn out to be some kind of just, it's as simple, it was all a dream, that I'm going to be so fucking pissed off because
They've done it before as well.
Yeah, it's like such a cool Elseworlds sort of tale, and I guess I'm going to forgive the it was all a dream thing because it was a cautionary tale by the
because
wonderful
we've had
Harcesis,
Stargate Origins since this.
Yeah,
So
basically.
you can forgive almost anything.
Oh, and I thought about
Plus,
that.
if you put a pan flute over top of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Boom. So excited about pan flute.
Did they play
no.
that as soon as he said, revealed himself? Shifu?
Yeah, they did.
I am Shifu. I am Harcesis.
Oh, God, I've missed that. Oh, goosebumps.
Got to that bit with, dun. It was like the second beat. I'm like, oh, Christ, this is going to be a Matty dream this weekend. He's going to absolutely love it. But when he goes, I am Harcesis, like a second later, I'm like, and you've already had more purpose about being here than Stargate Origins.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So
man.
that's the second Harcesis that's been on Abydos then.
When he came out,
Hey.
when he come out, and obviously when the little tornado finished, and another Wizard of Oz reference as well.
Oh, yeah.
Try and keep it in Kansas. And then he came out and he's dressed in that gear. I'm like, oh, it's the bloody pan flute guy, but he's young.
Oh.
And obviously because it hasn't been that long since he was a baby, I'm like, oh, my thought was, oh, he's a Harcesis baby, but no, he's not, because he's at least 10 years old.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm the Harcesis. And I'll literally just shout at the TV, oh, shit! Like, it was just mind-blowing. I'm like, this is epic. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that he's just come
He's a good little actor too.
He was
really
really good.
sold it.
Like when so much. I mean, while he only featured in like the first sort of half or maybe even third of this episode before you get into the 1 year later thing, so much of that revolved around him convincing you of, not even convincing you that he was Harcesis, but having you question whether or not he was, and believing when he says he was, but then also believing other people when they said he wasn't. When you in hindsight, you go, oh, hang on, that was a bit questionable. Like he was really good. Like camera is just on him, and he's speaking adult dialect and all that sort of gear. And he was fantastic.
Peter DeLuise said in the commentary his mother is an actor, so like she actually worked with him a lot, sort of before they started filming.
Helicopter parent.
Together. She's like, damn it, this kid's got a better gig than I'll ever get. And then,
Try and get me an audition, okay?
and then Peter DeLuise
Hey, Peter. How's things?
Peter DeLuise actually then gave him Maternal Instinct to watch and said, like, okay, base your character on that monk, because that's what a lot of your dialogue is like. So he shaved his head for it. Like
Took him ages to get through. He's like, oh my God, this episode.
Yeah, what is this stupid line they want me to read? It makes no sense.
That was almost the second thing they ever saw. Like when for one, actually, when they go, oh, we're bringing him back, I don't think he's going to pose any threat. I'm like, guys, how many times have we been through it? You just met this person.
He arrived in a tornado.
I get that he's Harcesis.
Through the Stargate.
He doesn't remember anything, but he is still Harcesis. He is the spawn of your enemy and his wife, girlfriend, lover, whatever. Too good. Okay, he's like evil incarnate, and you're like, nah, he's all right.
But he came from my wife's womb, so it's fine.
She wasn't evil.
It's a surrogate. That's all it is. When
my wife was a hostage when she gave birth. It's fine.
The first time I saw this episode, I think they'd revealed old young Shifu from the feet up, and I'm like, oh, is this the Ritu kid or something? Because it's the same. I think he had a hood or something.
I've got written down here, gun to your head, Shifu or Charlie 2.0.
Yeah, that's what I thought
For
it was.
what?
Just who do you prefer? Who would you want as a kid?
Oh, Jesus. Charlie
Who was
2.0
the
wouldn't last
better
that long.
actor?
Yeah, you wouldn't be a dad for long. That's exactly what I was thinking. This other kid, he's a f***ing cryptic. You got to work out what do you want for breakfast? Yeah. Pan flute? Oh my God, you're having toast.
No, he clearly
that's
loves
pretty
Fruit Loops.
standard,
He
yeah.
clearly loves Fruit Loops.
Shifu, grand finals about to start, mate. Where's the remote control, buddy? Can't find the remote control. What is lost will always be found.
Oh,
mate,
wow.
honestly, game's about to kick off. I'm losing my freaking mind.
But then he's got magical powers. He'd be able to find it in a heartbeat
Yeah.
and just like teleport
No, but he
it to
wouldn't.
you.
That's what Mitch is saying. He wouldn't.
Yeah, he
He'd
wouldn't.
play with you.
He'd make you find it. He'd
Because
make
he's
you,
trying to teach you a lesson.
he'd make you realise you don't have to watch the game. And I'm like, that's not the point, man. It's not
Yeah.
what I need. Tell me in 2.5 hours I don't need to watch the game. After I've already watched the
When
game.
my team loses, I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
So just turn it on.
I don't know that yet.
Well, you can hide it again. I'll find it later.
Yeah, when your team loses, just send him into like the opposition's like dressing room and tell him to turn into a tornado. Take care of the other team.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having your own little superpowered Hulk in there. You can just unleash him on people.
It's just a game. We don't want to kill the whole team.
Well, again, ask me at full time. Maybe I'll think.
yeah, right.
Depends on the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how he made Jackson have that massive dream and then just added in that he loves Fruit Loops, even though he doesn't know what Fruit Loops are yet. It was a big bowl.
Like-
It's
like
kind of more of
television.
Daniel's dream, I think.
Yeah, no, it was just a joke.
No, yeah, good gear.
You said before about the reference to Wizard of Oz, like we're about being in Kansas or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like one of the past weeks, I watched half the episode on DVD, and then I watched the next half on Stan, and the subtitles were different. The DVD, when it was in Gould, they actually told you what they were saying. They were shell-cacking, they were bloody apostrophes everywhere, and Stan just simply said alien language. And in this, they actually had what they were saying, obviously, because I was speaking English, but they said rather than, hey, this is straight out of Kansas, it's like, keep it in the canyons. And I'm like, what is that a reference to? That doesn't make sense. And I had to I missed like the next minute because I'm trying to work out what the friggin' hell, keep it in the canyons. And I'm like, oh, he's talking about Kansas. Well done, guys. Okay, and why be lazy with subtitles, guys? Come on. It's Australian, just like, whatever, this is what it sounds like.
Because that's, I had the same thing. I had the subtitles up, and the amount of times it wasn't what they said, it was like around, it was the gist of what they were saying, but it wasn't exactly what they said. And then at the end, when the first credit rolls, it has on the subtitles, it has the credit for whoever wrote the subtitles. And I'm like, it's the only time she'll get a credit is when you've got the subtitles on. But why would you? And they're so wrong.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, like, the person's name comes up, Richard Dean Anderson, and then there's a subtitle, Richard Dean Anderson.
just on mispronunciation stuff, I wanted to wait until sort of Lincoln wasn't here because I didn't want to, like, completely shit in his lap about it. But he told us a couple of weeks ago about how
do it behind his back.
You won't hear it.
I can't handle to see the look of disappointment on his face. It's like hitting a puppy. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like,
I can tell you growing up as his older brother, it is kind of fun after a while.
Not only do you get used to it, you kind of like it.
Do I need to call the RSPCA for your dogs?
No, I love my dogs. I'd never do that to them.
So he told us a story a couple of weeks ago how he's got an online game on his phone and he's...
Shellkek Nemron.
Yeah, but I don't know. He said Shellkek Nemron, and he said people said, oh, Shell, is that got to do with Stargate? But it's Shellkek Nemron.
Yeah, but we're from Queensland, mate. That just might be the way we say it.
But all I'm saying is has he spelt it SHAL or SHEL?
Yeah. Link, screenshot that and send it to us now. Don't lie like you do.
Because if it is AL, he's going to be slightly devastated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like
because
with the
other
day.
Week,
if only he was here, you could ask him. How dare you assume his username?
Just because a couple of months ago when we were talking about the Volcube, he was like, no, it's a Volcube. Yeah. And I was like, well, no, it's a circle, so it can't be a Volcube. So we had to look it up. And he'd been spelling Volcube wrong like his entire life, his entire Stargate life.
Like he needs to spell it often.
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
You've been embarrassing yourself in Stargate forums for years.
That's not how you spell this made-up word from this fictional television show. I'll stop you right there. So, yeah, I was just curious to see what his actual screen name was.
Yeah, well, maybe he realised as soon as he said it and he just sort of put it to the back of his mind, because when we were doing Serpent's Venom the other week and we were playing back the bit where you had Rockstar Gould Torture Guy and Teal'c, and he's like going, who do you think's more known across the galaxy, me or you? And we're like, obviously Teal'c, because Teal'c's known by Teal'c, and he's called Shover. And I said Shover, and I'm like, I know it's Sholvar, and I pronounced it wrong. I'm like, let's just push on and hope no one references it. And no one did, but then I felt like, well, now they're judging me because they like, this guy doesn't even know how to pronounce Shover, right?
So maybe hosting of a Stargate podcast.
Yeah, I mean, where's the apostrophe in Shover? Stupid Australian, I apologise, all right, guys, I get it. It's Shoulbar, yeah.
Laying all the cards on the table, it does annoy the fuck out of me when you say Braytech instead of Braytac.
I'm not changing it, mate.
Matty just attacking all the Lewis boys. What else, Matty?
Let's let it all out.
Yeah, go on.
It's a safe place. It's just between us four.
Safe place. If you're a Gibson, it's fine. I get it. Yeah.
Play the pan flute.
I thought you guys told me.
Yeah, if you're gonna critique, mate, put a pan flute under it. Okay, it's not gonna rip my heart out.
Hey, look, you guys established months ago that tearing each other apart is a sign of endearment. So it's
with tact. Otherwise, it's just cruelty.
Hang on, I've got a list for this is for the end of the season, but you say Braytech wrong.
It's like you illiterate f***s just need to learn your pronunciations and we'll be fine.
You say staff weapon wrong, you say Zatniktel wrong.
There was one time in episode 14 when you mispronounced something.
Yeah, you said Guold instead of Goa'uld.
I long ago I decided to be General Hammond on this situation, just say Gould.
Gould, yeah. Gould, yeah. Oh, well, Daniel flips and flops as well.
Yeah, maybe I'm just being really pissy because I'm taking after Teal'c in this episode. Did anyone know? I mean, I know it was a dream sequence, so I think you can kind of, chalk it up to that. Did anyone else notice Teal'c being really pissy at one point?
I don't remember Teal'c being in it.
Teal'c died, I thought, pretty early on.
Yeah.
Daniel Jackson.
Teal'c.
I was unable to complete my Kelnorine. What is of such importance that I should be summoned here immediately?
Like that's a little pissy for Teal'c.
Yeah, although
Like to me that was the giveaway that it's a dream because it's like Teal'c would never be that pissy.
Why doesn't he do his Kelnorine when everyone's asleep?
I think that was the idea that it was, but Daniel was like up all night.
okay.
erratic or something.
And he just needed, yeah.
And that scene, in hindsight, goes to think, okay, if this is all in Daniel, and I get that Harcesis, Shifu was making Daniel think only in the negative side of his brain and be the worst version of himself. But in the worst version of himself, it plays on what we've always talked about, how there's this just constant hatred towards Teal'c. And so in his mind, the negative side of his brain, Teal'c is like that, and if he had the chance, he would kill Teal'c very, very soon.
Yeah,
very quickly.
just because this is Jafar.
As soon as possible.
Apparently, too, there was a deleted scene. So I don't know whether it was filmed and then dropped out, or whether it was kind of just dropped out at the script stage. But apparently, there was a scene where it revealed that Teal'c, like in that sort of 1 year later future, Teal'c was still alive, but he was like being held captive by Daniel, and Daniel was like harvesting his blood and injecting it into himself, so that he had Naquadah in his blood, so that he could use Goa'uld technology.
That'd be dark.
That's,
Holy shit!
That's some dark shit right there.
Jesus.
So then why can't Teal'c use a hand device?
Doesn't fit his massive hands. That's the only reason.
Main reason.
Only if
No,
it's three
fair enough.
fingers
Oh,
in one.
I'm sure Daniel was using some of his like advanced Goa'uld knowledge to like alter the blood or siphon the Naquadah out of it and do it the right way so that he could actually use
I know
the
exactly how
technology or
this
something.
works. And he acts as O'Neill with it too, with the ribbon device.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So even within like the negative sort of alternate version of himself, he still had even darker, visions of him like using the ribbon device on O'Neill and Carter. So it's like even in the most negative part of himself, he still could go darker and was still questioning himself.
Yeah.
But then I guess that was early, and then
And then he
all of a
brings
sudden-
Peter Williams, old Apoff, back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw his
Gives him
name
a
pop
rib.
up. Yeah, pop up at the start. I'm like, oh, cool, Poff's in it, and he's in it for like a split second. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
good on you, mate. You're taking some time out during the week.
And they
It's
went-
like, get a
Days'
week off,
wages.
mate. But no, come
I
in.
feel like they went, oh, you know what? Like, he's only here for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We're not going to make him sit through all his face makeup with his face plates and all stuff like that. It's a dream. Let's just give him give him his normal skin. He'll just be in and out of makeup and we'll be done. We'll just, we'll look after you, Pete.
So before you come to dream sequence, Rhys, did you think, oh, this isn't Harcesis, this is another Goa'uld trick or something?
No, I mean, it come across my mind. When he said I'm Harcesis, I'm like, oh, you look like the monk. It makes sense. And you came here in a hurricane. But
A song lyric? Came in like a hurricane. No,
Well, maybe it should be.
I digress.
not sure.
Story of hurricane.
But yeah, it did cross my mind. Obviously, when as soon as Daniel fell to the ground after he touched his head, I'm like, oh shit, this kid's evil and he's come to kill everyone.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna happen.
That would have
but,
been cooler.
Yeah, which is
He's
which
like mini Apophis and just...
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then which led well into the dream sequence because that could have been, what caused Daniel to go and blow up bloody Moscow. But it was definitely questionable. But I more so felt that he is the Harcesis.
So I know we've like in that episode, what was it, season 2, where Daniel, there was a question: do we kill all the Goa'uld
Oh, the little baby Primtar.
Primtars just in
Oh,
the tank
yeah.
and stuff?
In
He's like,
Bloodlines.
yeah, we kill them before they, mature and take out, and take over people's bodies and cause more death to thousands, millions of people across the galaxy or whatever. So it would. I'm okay with the idea that he'd probably go genocidal against the Goa'uld in an alternate future version of himself that went full dark side. But the idea that he's like, it's that line where he said to Jack, when he turned the weapons on Moscow, he's like, have you not thought that maybe this is what I've always wanted? And I'm like, so what, in the dark version of yourself, you've wanted to destroy Earth or
Moscow?
Or destroy, like, it was like going, it was a bit
destroy
like
communism.
I know.
That's what he's trying
I know
to do.
22 languages, and I just can't nail Russian. Let's get rid of him.
And if I can't do it, no one needs to know about that. So destroy the language, so it's a dead language. And if I can't do it, then
And
no
just
one's
to
going
correct
judge
you,
me for it.
Reese, while we're correcting people, 23 languages. So
Well, he must have learned. He must learn one between now and the end of the series. So
yeah, ancient.
Well, if you do want to get a little bit of insight into how Michael Shanks actually played the quote-unquote evil version,
ooh,
wheel in the piano, boys!
shit.
long time no see.
You want a hand with that? No, you're good.
Gather round the fire, it's time for another reading with High Pitch.
Many fans have wondered how lovely, sweet Daniel Jackson could turn into such a nasty person so quickly. Michael Shanks has the answer. He never was a bad person. He was the same Daniel all the way through the episode. We just saw him in a different set of circumstances. We all know that when Daniel is on track of something he's really passionate about, he's adamant about what he thinks and can accomplish. This was Daniel being himself, and it was important to Robert Cooper and me that we not tip the hand of what was going to happen up until the very end, that we perceive him as a bad person finally because we see the results of the process.
Well, that's
Not really. He was bad. It was like 1 year later, he was bad. Graham, piss off.
We're done. Like
All right,
as soon as the audio book gets closed,
Don't hang around.
you're out.
You get paid the same.
So basically the whole way through that, Michael Shanks wasn't playing that evil. He was just like, no, that's just Daniel.
Yeah, I can
It's just
kind
Daniel
of...
with that intense singular focus that Daniel always has when he's going up against Jack about military science, ethics.
I can
all that
kind of
stuff.
buy it when Daniel says, "Oh, now that it's me saying let's kick some Gould butt, you have a real problem with that." I like that line, but the rest of it was kind of like, why would he ring down and like kill Teal'c and put Carter away in jail and
Yeah.
like it was just a bit too much.
Like
Yeah, that's not the normal. That's not
And then
the normal
bomb
Jackson.
Russia, like he would never bomb Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because just so he can keep control and keep secrecy of it.
Yeah.
But then I don't think that he'd ever do that because he's always about what's right. Like that's his main moral and his main value.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand him taking control, even just thinking up to that point, I'm the only one with the knowledge, so this is the only way to keep it safe. But then to go ahead and nuke a whole city.
Yeah. To,
It's
you
just
know,
crazy.
have dreams about like Teal'c like kneeling before you in subservience, and then having him secretly killed.
Yeah.
And then having Carter taken off the program because she found out what he was doing. It's like, no, that's pretty, psychotic. Like that's pretty evil.
That's not normal, Daniel.
Now, we've hinted at this. This is a Robert C. Cooper written episode, I know.
That's one.
So I've got a bit of audio here. I'm not the only one on the Cooper train. That's all I want to say.
Oh, you're
So-
driving it though.
Absolutely. It's on autopilot now. It's just it's its
gone
own
itself.
entity.
Hope there's no corners.
It's not.
It's full steam
So,
out.
so this is a bit of audio from the audio commentary. Peter DeLuise talking to Robert C. Cooper about how Michael Shanks and Richard Dean Anderson about how good their chemistry is.
In a way,
Love the fruit basket, one of my favorite lines.
yeah, love the fruit baskets. In a way, your counting on their chemistry was pretty much the cornerstone of this episode.
Yeah.
Without the chemistry and the dynamic between them, this would be, quite frankly, not a very good episode.
Burn.
Jesus.
He's in the room.
He's telling him to his face.
But it's like, I like Robert C.
Quite
Cooper's...
frankly, when I read this, it was shit. But then I realised that RDA and Michael Shanks,
They'll save it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
and only two people can save this, and it ain't the writer.
Their acting in my direction is going to save this.
Well, see,
Quite frankly,
I thought the thing that you take issue with is the very, very first thing you hear in the audio commentary, like after the lion roars, this is the very, very first thing you hear is Robert Cooper.
Hi, I'm Robert Cooper, co-executive producer at the time this episode was shot, executive producer now. I've since been promoted.
Shut up.
promoted yourself.
I'm moving very quickly. I mean, this episode wasn't even that long, and I've already got another promotion. Anyway, so sorry. Where are we? Oh, Harcesis is already here. There's so much I've actually missed of what's important to talk about.
Yeah. By the time I get to the next audio commentary, I'll be starring in the show. So,
but in all honesty, for me, there is no point to this storyline. So, like, what is the point to it? The Harcesis comes to tell Daniel he can't have the Gould knowledge.
Yeah, it's
and then turns into a glowy alien thingy.
It's to convince them that, you can't. There's no point using me.
But what? Just go away. Never be seen again.
They weren't. Because then that's the end of the series. The Goa'uld are dead. You build this shit to kill them, and that's it.
But here's the weird bit for me though: is spoiler for Rhys. This is it. We never see Shifu again. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the Harcesis story
summed
up.
Kasuf.
Yeah, this is it for Kasuf as well.
What his name is?
Kasuf.
Good father. Yeah.
Good father.
Oh, mate, and I tell you what, the English teacher on Abydos is working overtime.
Yeah.
He is fantastic now. Just walking through, he's like, how sandy is this bloody desert? Am I right? Oh,
he's making good jokes. I've seen many bushes burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you couldn't...
This sand gets everywhere.
But what I thought was weird is it was only, it was a season ago they decided to kill off Shah-Ray in Forever and a Day and set Daniel up for this whole... That was supposed to be his new arc, was supposed to be find the Harcesis, find the Harcesis, find the Harcesis. They got 2 episodes out of it, because after Forever and a Day, all we really had was Maternal Instinct, where we find the baby in Keb, and then this episode. So it's like they've killed off Shah-Ray to give him this new storyline to sort of bump along. We got 2 episodes over a season, and this is the Harcesis storyline wrapped up.
There is a little kind of diamond in the rough with that, though, which continues for Daniel.
Yeah, it's great. Like this is part of the sort of main arc for Daniel. It does go off in a different direction now, which is probably his most sort of poignant storyline.
Yeah,
I like how it's all interconnected, but I'm just like, I just felt, like you were saying, what was the point of this episode? I would have liked a little bit more Harcesis, maybe. I don't know, like.
Yeah, like you got that. You got like as we talked about, it's very unique in the world or in the universe having a Harcesis. So
not that unique.
No, apparently Abydos is just like
flourishing,
just getting him out of there.
There hasn't been one for years.
Yeah,
at least 20. But yeah, it would have been nice for them to bring it into the story a little bit more and get more out of it, or create a few paths that they could go down to.
Yeah, I guess it's hard because they've set up the Harcesis to be this sort of be all and end all.
Yeah,
they has all the knowledge that we've been wanting, and even the Tok'ra were getting in, like, we could use this knowledge too, because we're so far back. Our bloodline, we don't have the genetic memory that the other Goa'uld do. So it's like if we could get someone like this. Well, we would get all this information that we would know sort of where they're at technologically, their thought process, all their resources, all that kind of stuff.
Speaking of the Tok'ra, like, why the hell would they go and tell them? Like, I get it. Oh, we've got a treaty and we've got to tell them all this shit. The Tok'ra tell us nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Fair enough if Jacob was still on holidays here.
Yeah.
Throw him a bone, but...
I did love Jack's little tantrum about it, though.
Sir, we've received word from the Tok'ra.
Oh, did we really have to call them?
When he said that, I was like, did we?
Like, and then even as Hammond's explaining it, he's just like, whatever. Doing anything.
Well, even in hindsight,
worst ally ever.
The one line that really made sense in Daniel's dream sequence was him saying to Hammond, "No, they wouldn't betray us on purpose, but shit finds a way of getting back to the Goa'uld if we deal with the Tok'ra." And then when you come back to Daniel's like in a coma nearly. He's been out that long. Oh, by the way, we've already got a Tok'ra here walking around telling us what's what. And then it's like, well, hang on. No, I agree with Evil Daniel on this one. What, you didn't need to call this guy because
the guy that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
No, he was
new
actually
Martouf.
the one from the one that Teal'c locked in the cargo ship in when he was trying to rescue them.
Right.
He was
really?
well trusted.
He was that piddly little Tok'ra. Because I was the same. I thought, who is this Tok'ra and why do we care? And I looked him up and I'm like, oh shit, that's because he's so forgettable in The Devil You Know.
But that's true. Like even the first episode we meet the Tok'ra Part 1, and 2, there's 2 Goa'uld spies. Not 1, but 2. And they've actually got a Goa'uld in there that they know is a Goa'uld spy at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like, they know they've got one.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, he's just hanging out.
Absolutely.
And that would be a cool exchange between the SGC and the Tok'ra hierarchy, is them having a little conversation on screen. Not even one we can assume off screen, but where they go, look, unless you absolutely need to tell us, like, if it's something like the Harcesis, don't tell us, because we don't know how we could use that to our mutual advantage, where it's not going to get back to Goa'uld and it's going to cause some real shit, because they're obviously going to want to track down this Harcesis for the same reasons we do, but for, I guess, different outcomes. But
yeah, the Tok'ra are super self-centered, though. Oh, give the information to us and we'll handle it. Don't worry about it. That's what they'd be like. Eh?
That's what it's like.
But maybe
we're better.
Stop mucking around, kids. Give it in.
Yeah.
Maybe the answer is in what you said, Matty. Maybe having more Harcesis, especially in that 1 year later, where all he did was eat breakfast, eating cereal at the table, because.
And there's no way he would have gotten through that entire bowl before those Fruit Loops were a soggy mess.
Oh, absolutely not.
No, I don't care what superpowers he's got.
Has anyone mastered
can't
that
eat cereal
yet?
that
Really?
fast.
Let's be honest. You had Fruit Loops. Has anyone eaten a full bowl of Fruit Loops before they get all soggy and shit? Unless you have like 3. It's like a battle no one's won.
Jack O'Neill in Window of Opportunity.
That's true.
Keeps getting crunchy every day.
But the end result or whatever, the wrap up of this story is Harcesis saying, yeah, look, using me is not a great idea for whatever reason. So do you have that in the dream sequence where his evil version, his alternate self, Daniel, would use Harcesis to its absolute extreme in the future, where he would be existing all the time? You would have him at least featured, not just, obviously he's ripped the knowledge from him over the past 12 months in that version of the timeline.
He'd have no need for him, would he?
I guess, but I guess not. Like, it'd be very interesting if they would have not written him off dead like Teal'c, but have him. It's like he has been used to Daniel's advantage, or otherwise have him there all the time, giving Daniel this information, whether or not he's naive about what's going on. He probably wouldn't be, because he's smart as shit. Maybe to a point of being annoying, but have him, I don't know, just being utilized by Daniel at every moment to say that if Daniel, went dark side, he would use that knowledge to his own advantage, to a point where, I don't know, I feel like
just being super overprotective of him. Like, no, don't talk to him.
Yeah, like, that's my toy. Like, that's my thing. So, maybe.
The most they kind of got was they kind of did sort of hint at the fact that the kid had kind of been corrupted a little bit, in that when we first meet him, he's this, centered Buddhist monk throwing out all these, philosophical ideas, and then a year later, and he's like,
eating
television and Fruit Loops. I like television. I like processed sugar.
He's a normal kid.
I mean, he's still wearing his robes, though. It's like they could have put him in, put him in a Bart Simpson t-shirt or something.
What does he do on wash day? So he's talking about the battle. The whole thing was about the battle between the conscience and the subconscious. Consciousness. Yeah, like, what exactly was he saying? So his subconscious is the Goa'uld stuff, and he's just trying to basically suppress it.
No, well, Oma has suppressed it. Because there was that amazing line where he says, the only way to win is to deny battle, which I thought was a really, really poignant way to do it. So that's what Oma said. She's like, yes, I could let you sort of do this battle on your own, as a battle of wills against what I've taught you and what I'm teaching, as opposed to what you are and what you know, but you may lose that battle. So you will
lose that battle.
Yeah. So basically, Oma said, well, the only way to win is to deny that part of yourself battle
actively.
Yeah,
like an addiction, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's sort of what I read as, like, just if there's that dark side of you in the back of your head, just deny it battle. Just
your mind's autopilot's going to want to do something, but you've got to actively suppress it, actively deny it, basically.
Yeah. Don't put yourself, like, if you are an addict, don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be tempted to take on whatever your addiction is. Like, go back to it. It's like, just deny it battle.
Just turn into a glowing orb
cold
and
turkey
run away.
I love the idea of it, but a bit like Brennan said, it's like, what's the point, in the sense that have we even heard of them talk about Harcesis since Maternal Instinct?
No.
It's not like they've said, oh, hey, when it grows up, maybe we can use the knowledge or anything. They haven't referenced it. They don't talk about it.
No, it's like Desala took it away,
We don't have to worry about that anymore.
We don't have to worry about it. That's,
Mother Nature's got him, so he's
Yeah.
fine.
Unless they're trying to pass it off as the human part of Harcesis just wanted to know about Shah-Ray, wanted to know about his mother. Otherwise, he shows up to tell Daniel why he shouldn't be looking for him, which he wasn't in the first place.
Yeah.
Why he shouldn't be trying to mine his knowledge, which he
why
wasn't in the first place.
Why did he come back?
No, I took that as at the very start. It's hard because it's kind of as they're doing the walk and talk with Kasuf. He says a tornado came through the Stargate and it spoke Shah-Ray's name.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm aware, Shifu wanted nothing to do with the SGC. Shifu just wanted to go to Abydos to learn of his mother. It was Kasuf, after hearing Shah-Ray's name in the tornado, then called up the SGC and said, "Oi guys, come have a look at this."
Yeah,
When I see weird shit, I call Earth.
Yeah.
Not that.
why has he got that Stargate open? Like, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Bury it, mate.
Your daughter's dead.
Yeah.
You got your son back. Just bury it.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
That's
and then it's funny though. It's like the only information Shifu seemed to get about his mother came from Daniel. It's like, did Kasuf ever get a chance to actually talk with his like illegitimate grandson and tell him about, Shah-Ray's childhood?
Daniel had 12 months with her. I had about 30 years.
Yeah.
No, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah. No.
That's what I mean. Like, so.
To be fair though, Kasuf obviously has big chunks of his memory missing. So.
Good to see though that in Daniel's evil version, he still gives. Is it General? What do we settle on? Mustache.
Yeah.
A role. He's got a role in the government. He's still sort of like
Yeah.
Daniel's main point of contact with the Pentagon.
Just because they still didn't want to cast a president yet, they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're in season 4. It's probably election year. We'll just wait.
It's Kenzie.
Yeah.
The only president we've seen.
Yeah.
And that was in an alternate timeline.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
How funny was it when they're in the observation booth, and then O'Neill says to Hammond, "Oh, don't, let him go. Don't do anything." And Hammond's like, "Well, what do I say?"
What do I say?
So like he's just asking for confirmation.
Yeah.
General, I highly recommend you order all personnel to stand down and get the heck out of the way.
Are you sure, Colonel?
The alternative might not be so pretty.
What am I supposed to say? All personnel, this is General Hammond. A glowing energy being is headed for level 28. We believe it is heading for
What do I say?
Lower your weapon and do not attempt to intercept it.
He's just like, I might just let him shoot it because I don't want to be embarrassed over the microphone.
apparently that's Peter DeLuise's favourite part of the entire episode is just Don Davis's delivery of "what do I say?" and then glowing energy being like that's flat out Peter DeLuise's favourite.
Big white light.
When it turned into an orb, I'm like, oh, this is like Hammond doesn't get to see this shit, eh?
Yeah, he only gets to read about it in the report afterwards. Yeah.
These people are having me on.
And good that Harcesis decided when he was that glowing white light that he still went through the hallways and downstairs. Like you could have just phased. I feel like you could have phased through everything just to get to the gate room.
Well, did he take the elevator? Because it's like that observation lounge. That's not on level 28.
Yeah,
that's like probably attached to Frasier's like infirmary area. So it's like, well, if that's not on level 28, does he have a swipe card?
Yeah,
like,
presses the button, just waits.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
In there, listens to the elevator music at the SGC.
He kind of just stops, and there's like an airman just like guarding some point, and he just kind of like the head appears and just is like, "Come on, dude."
Yeah.
And the airman's got to like swipe it and then open it all up.
To get to the level, one must swipe his card.
I have two favourite parts of this episode for me, and the first part is back in Abydos, and you've got Jack O'Neill sporting the backwards cap and the sweet desert goggles.
Okay, goggles. I know we've spoken about this before. If anyone out there listening, if you know where we can get goggles like that, please hit us up because I've wanted. I don't go. I don't go desert faring very often. To be fair, but hey, maybe I can use them mowing. I mean, who knows? We can bring what I actually do, what I want to do, and I really want a pair of those goggles.
When we went skiing,
in
Japan, we were like, oh, totally need a pair, and we couldn't find them.
No.
We need some Jack O'Neill goggles.
And strangely, when you Google Jack O'Neill desert goggles, it doesn't really pop up with anything on eBay. Even if you put in specific episodes, doesn't really help.
Yeah,
I mean, not that I've tried.
that was
several
2009.
times. Yeah,
so it's probably different now.
Is that the last time you two went skiing? Is that?
Yeah, on the snow.
Yeah.
Still working the arms a fair bit, in fairness.
Yeah, no?
But yeah, and I think also this is where I start to turn from Daniel to Jack, because Jack O'Neill's just so cool, and he starts to have his comedy lines, like especially comparing Jack O'Neill with his cool backwards cap and his goggles compared to Daniel's floppy hat and pedophile glasses.
Pedophile glasses.
You know what I mean? Like those weird round ones.
Yeah.
There is a point though where, and I know it's this season. I can't remember what episode it is. It's like Jack does start wearing like his version of Daniel's floppy hat though. I think it might be the end of the season when
Yeah,
they're
but
in
it's
desert
backwards.
camping.
Oh yeah, in the light, I think he wears it.
Yeah, it
in
could be the light even, and he's got one of
Yeah.
those flop hats, and I'm like, come on, Jack,
Yeah.
come on now.
That was
Come
just
on.
a bit of a gag. But my other favourite part of this episode is that arch Asian guy, Daniel's counterpart.
Yeah, his
What is
little.
he? One of his great lines was, "Target has been eliminated," and you're like,
Super
"This
menacing.
dude is wild." Like,
Super menacing.
just so straight.
He's got like that
Yeah.
grease back ponytail,
Yeah.
and it's like if you walk, like he's evil. Like you could just
Yeah.
walk past him on the street and be like, "Oh, that dude's killed
Yeah.
people." Like,
Or until
that
he turned
that
front
dude
on.
was in Die Hard. I'm pretty sure.
when I just sort of the back of his head the first time, and I'm like, is that like the evil? Is that an evil version of the monk from Maternal Instinct? Has he went full dark side, and in his future he can even corrupt that guy to want to decimate targets on Earth? Because he was overly evil. Because at that stage I'm like, okay, I know that we're in some kind of dream sequence or whatever, but is everyone down there evil like Daniel, or is he just sort of like manipulated them into doing bad things?
Yeah.
But when that guy turns around, he's like eliminated, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, you're with him until the end.
Like,
You're
even-
his chief
yeah.
henchman.
Ride or
Even the
die.
security guards were pretty evil. Like, even when Carter rocks up, she's got a swipe card or an ID to get into the building. And then she's like, "Daniel, I want to talk to you." That guy's got a Glock pointed at the back of her head.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, calm down.
Saw that. I'm like, gee, at least shoot her in the
Like,
back.
I don't know if it was a Glock, but Glock sounds
Oh, mate,
cool.
no one in the
There's a Spaz
Stargate
12 in her face.
No one in the Stargate world takes maiming. It's always a kill shot. It's never, it's never a shot in the leg or
Please,
subdue
can I-
or anything like that. It's always a kill shot.
But even though he was in that position of absolute power, he's still a bit of a coward because, he sees, the security cams are at the window or whatever that Carter's swiping in, and he runs out. He's like, find out why she's still going to pass and kick her off the property.
Yeah.
And then when the woman's like, oh, she insisted, she's here. He goes, oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear me. I don't want her to hear me say anything bad about her.
Yeah.
And I'll chuck her in jail after she leaves.
But what about that woman? Is she insane? He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what I...
She
and
was
then,
the only
like,
non-evil person
there's-
there. It's like, oh my god, is she okay? He's like, nah, totes evil.
yeah, I'm
she's-
here
and there's
living
no,
in this.
Toad's crazy.
no judge or jury. It's just like, oh, should we lock her up forever?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, best
It's like, I mean,
idea.
Yes, good idea.
I'm a grown man living in this giant mansion with a 10-year-old boy by myself
Yeah.
who's not a blood relative, but no, she's the insane.
Yeah. I'm wearing a dressing gown all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, I would too, but it's amazing.
Oi, my favourite part of this episode, it was so epic, is when O'Neill unloaded a clip into Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No hesitation.
Oh, mate.
It's like he knows,
He
he
knew the
knows
shield
the
was
force
there.
field's there now, but he's like, oh, look, I'm here. I may as well
God
empty the
damn
clip.
I've committed.
You
Get
know?
get rid of my anger.
It's like if I empty the clip, at least it means no one else can pick up the gun and shoot me with it because
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
bullets left. I'll just keep going.
Yeah, that was epic.
Yeah.
No, my favourite part was Jack early on, just talking about Hammond's big old wick.
Oh, yeah.
Shifu, this is General Hammond. He's the leader of this facility.
Welcome to Earth.
A spark lights a flame, but the candle will only burn as long as the wick.
What's wrong with this kid?
If I may, sir, I think what he means is the wick is the center of the candle. And ostensibly a great leader like yourself is essential to the whole ball of wax. Basically what it means is that it's always better to have a big, long wick.
Obviously.
Oh, it's how it burns, mate.
It's right, though, right?
I thought for a second there he's like a big, long wick, and that was a pan flute coming up. Sure, that gets one.
And the only other thing I had was Peter DeLuise mentions it in the audio commentary, but when they're celebrating the launch of all the little orbital platform things and they're pouring the champagne, he says you can't see it because they've turned the bowl around, but they're celebrating with a bottle of Dom DeLuise.
Oh, wow.
So well
That's
done,
cool.
well done, Peter, on that one.
God, he's handsome. Michael Shanks, like you were saying, Rhys.
Oh, as soon as he takes off those pedophile glasses.
Am I right?
When he had that flashback, when he was, when was it? When he was, had the ribbon device to Apophyse's head, and it went up to his face.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is that actually him? Like,
No,
he
it's
looks
Elvis.
so different.
With the Elvis collar.
He's a handsome man, though.
Well, we get a lot of letters and mail and email about just how handsome and attractive Michael Shanks is. And when he doesn't wear his glasses, I think it's a little bit more obvious. Not that glasses are per se unattractive. It's just that
Unless they're pedophile glasses.
even after the episode of Mead opted, even though his eyes had been corrected by the sarcophagus, decided that the glasses were just too cool.
Oh, well, it's only temporary.
Right.
Oh, that's only temporary. Shut up, Robert.
No, it's not.
What, so he's temporary alive after
Yeah.
he fucking died?
Yeah.
Mate, we're all temporary alive.
Oh,
Good call.
See? You
got
know.
me there, mate.
Unless you have a sarcophagus.
And then I totally forgot that they brought back the Zatark detector. Like, I completely forgot about that. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
can we use that? Well, yeah, not for its purpose, but I guess we can just tell
It's
if
just
he's
a lie
lying.
detector.
Look, it's a prop.
Well-
It's a prop we've got there that cost us $1,000 to make. We may as well use it, I suppose.
Pretty sure the SGC would have a lie detector.
Right?
And the parent in me came out in that scene where you had New Toker? Do we know his name yet?
Bitch slap.
Old one.
Aldwin.
Aldwin.
And
Until
he's,
bitch slapped him in.
Alec Aldwin.
Yeah. Alec Aldwin.
and he sits Shifu down. And he's like, just direct your eye line right here into this tiny, like, you know, that camera's on like a zoom almost. Like his eyes are like barely taking up the focus in the screen. And he's like, just focus your eyes here. And then during the chat, Shifu just sort of looks around. He's not, and I'm like, man, look where he told you to look. The flashbacks to being at home with my kids, and I'm like, look at me, listen to me. And then you just see them looking at you, and they just dart and they look at the TV behind them. Don't look at the TV when I'm talking. Look at my eyes. I'm like, God damn, I'm gonna throw something at the goddamn
remember
wall.
the last time we saw the Zatark detector, they everyone had their head strapped.
Yeah.
You know, they had that big leather thing across their foot. They didn't do that with the kid.
No, they didn't want him to go full nuclear. It's like,
well,
we
maybe
don't
they're
know what
also
this kid
like,
could do.
oh look, we've tied his hands down. Daniel's wearing pedophile glasses. We don't want to strap his head down. As well. Like, it's too much, you know.
You can have two, you can't have three.
Yeah. If we put the strap across his head, Daniel's got to walk in with no glasses on. That's the only way. It's the only way.
As this episode and Maternal Instinct proved, as long as you play a pan flute over it, it doesn't feel wrong. Like you could have done that. You wouldn't have thought anything wrong about that scene if the pan flute was there. But without the pan flute, it was like, oh.
But Your Honour, I played a pan flute.
It's time to find out if Rhys been paying attention.
Look at you, just every week now.
I told you it's back. All right, here we go. 5 questions for Rhys. Short answer questions.
Time starts at the end of the first
These
question.
are all about this episode, which is good for you.
Oh,
Absolute
gimmies.
power. Time starts at the end of this question. Who wrote the episode Absolute Power?
Oh, Cooper?
Correct. What is the name of the satellite Daniel Jackson designed?
Oh, pass.
What was the Harcesis eating at the breakfast table?
Fruit Loops.
Correct. Name the planet where we first encountered the glowing alien Omadasala.
Abydos.
Incorrect. How much money did Jack bet on?
You said in this episode, anyway.
How much money did Jack bet on the satellite launch?
$100.
Correct. What is the name of the satellite?
No idea.
God, even I don't know that one.
That's an AG3.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. They mentioned it a few times. What's it called? Attack Gould or something like that?
Anti-Gould?
Anti-Gould
I don't
satellite.
know.
It's
I
a
don't
third
remember that at all.
version.
Third version? Jesus.
AG3.
Looks exactly like the one he designed on the chalkboard a year ago.
Yeah.
How much did it change?
If it ain't broke, don't fix them. The design's fine. You know,
which
sexy,
in
it's
why
sleek.
renumber
In
it?
the wiki, mind you, costs $160 billion to make. I don't know if that was one satellite or the whole network.
No, I remember they
What
said
if-
that in the episode it was going to take $80 billion over 2
2
years,
years.
and Daniel's like, well, we need to do it in a year. And Davis is like, well...
It's impossible. It'll double the cost.
yeah. And he's like,
So it's not impossible.
So it's not impossible. Like, he's got you there.
Yeah.
But I feel like
It's the same budget.
if you're going to speed things up, is the labour really worth 80 billion? Like hiring people to do it twice as fast?
Yeah.
It's not doubling. I mean,
No.
Davis, I know you're
Ship
trying to
it to
shut him
China.
down. But I love Davis. He's like questioning everything that Jackson asked him for.
So at the start of this, mate, you said everything's about this episode, and then you go, "What planet did we?"
Well, it
first
was
see
mentioned in this episode. Keb. That's why.
Look, I'm conflicted because I knew the answer, but I'm kind of on Rhys's side for this one. So,
all right. Well, you still got it wrong. So this is what Daniel Jackson thinks of you.
Rhys, your father made you wrong.
Oh, that's just the evil version of Daniel.
Yeah.
You stupid son of a bitch.
And for this, from now on, we have an extra clip.
What?
Oh yeah, stack them on.
Oh, all right.
so good it's not me.
You never were that bright.
No. Can't wait to do a three-way montage of that.
I'm going to unload a fucking clip into you, mate.
With the Glock.
Spaz 12 Glock. The miniaturized version of the Spaz 12.
Spaz 12 Glock, AK machine handgun. Australia.
AG3.
All strapped to a P90.
Yeah. All right, that's episode 83 of Get Into Gate. Absolute power. We will be back next week to talk about the light on the next Stargate SG-1.
So, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Excellent. We get a break.
Never were that bright, were you, Rhys? No, thanks, guys. That was great. I mean, that's a callback, but, you know, that's fine.
The callback was at the end of the Have You Been Paying Attention?
It was a callback to that.
Yeah, it's not funny when you do 2 callbacks.
I'm just chewing on something.
That's a rule. Write that down. Write that down in your
Write
book.
it down.
Write that down in your book.
Comedy 101.
Critique yourself. And Matty, I'll tell you what you did. You did 2 callbacks in an episode.
And that's a callback. Boom!
Until then, you can check us out on the socials. Follow, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Stay in touch with the show. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you can grab us on getintogate@gmail.com. Join the show. Be part of the show. Support the show. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes extras.
Get absolute power.
Oh, there he is.
Stop it.
Patreon.com/getintogate. If you want to chat to us individually, and why don't you just, get personal with us. Mitch_Lewis is where you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Matty.
At High Pitch Matty.
Boom. Brendan.
I'm at the Brendan Gibson.
And Rhys.
I am at the Flying Gibson.
Beautiful. We'll see you back next week to talk about the light. That's going to be good. Promise. Cooper!
GetIntoGeek.com.
Get out.